Oh, here we are. We're back. Pete Souza alongside Zach Burke. The Pete Souza Show continues this afternoon on a beautiful day here in Central Texas. I mentioned how earlier in the day I was able to fill in for John Morris on the radio side for the Baylor basketball game against Norfolk State. And Zach, we got that clip ready? All right. So there was a moment in the game where it was one of those instances where you're like, one, did that just happen? And two, I can't believe it did just happen, and I saw it in person. VJ Edgecombe, another highlight reel play. Zach, let's check it out.
Love kick out to none.
Oh, my
Slam for Edgecombe.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. Air VJ, you better watch out, and you better block out, or you're going.
That's our boy King McClure right there, who was alongside Lincoln Rose for the call on TV. I mean, good golly, Miss Molly. The only thing I can compare it to is Allen Iverson, when there is something innate about attacking and also the intuition with timing. Like, that's not just athletic ability. That's having a nose for the game and know-how and a feel for the game that is second to none, that is just about as unique as the athletic ability is. One more time on that clip, Zach. We got to see it again.
Love kick out to none.
Oh, my
Slam for Edgecombe.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. Air VJ, you better watch out, and you better block out, or you're going.
Like, my only problem with that is that it happened at like 12:30 in the afternoon. That's like too much for kids. Like, they shouldn't. That should be reserved for like games from 9 o'clock Eastern on. That was too scary. Norfolk State, by the way, they had a lot of fight in them, and the game was close for a while. They couldn't miss threes, but then they went to the locker room at halftime. Baylor did, and just decided that they were going to ratchet up the pressure defensively, and that was something that Norfolk State, the Spartans, just couldn't keep up with out of the MEAC. Obviously, Norfolk, Virginia. One of the things that I'm starting, a vibe I'm picking up on, and I did personally today after the game, I interviewed Josh Ojanwada with my man Pat Nunley, who has been a color analyst for Baylor basketball games for 44 years. He was alongside Frank Fallon. If you don't know who Frank Fallon was, you definitely heard him calling national TV games. And if you don't remember him from that, you definitely heard his voice announcing the starting lineups at the Final Four for decades. That was Frank Fallon, and a Central Texas product, Waco product, Baylor product, total legend. So Pat Nunley's worked with Pat Nunley has worked with Frank Fallon and with John Morris. John Morris was not there. Again, another star-studded Baylor broadcaster. J-Mo was in New York receiving an award, the Chris Schenkel Award in broadcasting excellence. So if you know who Chris Schenkel is, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it gets to elite broadcasters. So back to present day, Pat Nunley and I caught up with Josh Ojanwada after the game. Baylor power forward. He had 16 points. I think about like 9 or 10 rebounds. He had a career high 14 rebounds against UConn. He's been playing really well lately, and Baylor's going to need him to play well, not only on the block defensively, which is something I think you can expect from him, right? The defense travels. That is, you can count on that from Josh Ojanwada. One thing that is starting to percolate a little bit is his offensive game, and Pat talked about that before the game, that Josh was going to have to become a threat offensively, and he was today. And I think he'll continue to be so going forward. We're literally watching this dude just get better before our eyes, which is the case a lot of times, especially early in the season, or in both cases, somebody with Josh, maybe earlier in their career. So we talked with Josh after the game, and here was one thing that Baylor fans can hang on to that I found super interesting. He mentioned the fact that I said, what are you looking forward to doing for the rest of the year? You got the holidays coming up, you have a break. I said, but when you get into conference play, December 31st against Utah, like, what are you guys looking to accomplish? What excites you? And he said, proving people wrong. And now, so here's what Baylor has going for themselves now. And I'm not saying they can ride this all the way to the Final Four, the championship, but it can definitely get you through once you get healthy, right? Because you need to get Jeremy Roach back, who is injured right now in concussion protocol. So it's not like he'll be out forever. Once you get Jeremy Roach back, now you're looking at a situation and a team who basically has a chip on its shoulder. That's Josh said so much directly to myself and Pat Nunley after the game. He said, we want to prove people wrong. We have a chip on our shoulder now. People are looking at us because now Baylor, as far as the top 25 is concerned, they're receiving votes this week. This is a team that is always in the top 25. It's the first time they've been out of the top 25 during a basketball season, and I can't remember how long. But the teams that they lost to, Gonzaga, top 5, Tennessee, number 1, and UConn, defending national champs, 2-time national champs. So, I mean, it's a murderer's row of a schedule that they put together. Last year, Baylor had the most difficult schedule in the country. This year, it looks like they're trying to accomplish the same feat, and the schedule just couldn't be any more difficult out of the gate. But, as long as you survive it, right, and you can last into Big 12 play, I think you're in pretty good shape, and I think we're seeing that from Baylor right now. Not only are they kind of rounding into form once they get healthy, and they will have plenty of time. Again, we mentioned 16 days between now and their next game, which is on December 27th. And that game is, forgive me, but it's not against an opponent that scares you at all. It's a non-con game. And then after that, they'll play Utah on December 31st at home. We talked to Scott Drew after the game, and it's great. Scott Drew's the man. He right away, you talk to him about conference play, and the first thing he talks about is Baylor football. They have a game that afternoon or that evening against LSU in the Texas Bowl. That's in Houston. And he said everybody needs to go to Houston to support the football team. But if you don't go to Houston, you need to come here to the Foster Pavilion to support the basketball team. And I think he's got a pretty good point. Their first game is against Utah. I did a Utah game on Saturday night. Utah really right now isn't that good. They're just not. But if you like Baylor basketball and you're interested, it will be the return of Caleb Lohner, who we talked about ad nauseum on Monday, and Miro Little, who is nasty. Point guard from Finland. He has played with the Finnish national team all summer long, and he is awesome. The only reason he didn't play for Baylor last year was because of guys like Ray J. Dennis and guys like Jaden Nunn. And this year, again, with VJ Edgecombe, the best freshman in the country possibly, and now you got Jeremy Roach. Like, where were you going to play? And then freshman Rob Wright. So if you want to play point guard, you got to go play somewhere else. Utah, not a bad option. Miro Little, a very good point guard. So let's stick with basketball here as we get set to wrap things up. So it was just earlier reported that LeBron James is not going to be with the LA Lakers, and LeBron is not going to be with the Lakers. They said he stepped away for right now because of personal reasons, which is like, okay, interesting, but probably not. He just maybe needs a minute. But then earlier today, Brian Windhorst talked about the fact that the Golden State Warriors would still be very interested in LeBron if he were to come available on the trading market. And when Wendy talks, I listen, especially when it's LeBron. Like, Brian Windhorst is not just that guy who covers LeBron. Back in the day when I was doing PR for the Sixers and for the Hornets, he was with the Cleveland Plain Dealer following LeBron around. And it was known at the time that he was the guy that covered LeBron in high school that now is with the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Big untucked shirt guy. Now he's all tucked in on TV all the time. But Windhorst brings it. And his report today talked about the fact, like, LeBron and Golden State, like, that could be a possibility. And it's not like him just to start stuff. Now let's go back to, this is, I guess, a month and a half ago, maybe less, LeBron talking about, and this is so LeBron, right? Subliminal messaging here, talking about exactly what it would mean to him to play once again now. I say once again because they won a gold medal over the summer together, to play for Steve Kerr and with Steph Curry. Could he do it again? Let's take a listen.
It was everything and more. I was super excited to be able to finally team up with him, in a win or die type atmosphere, and that's what it was. Being a part of Olympics, and it was everything that I dreamed of and inspired to want to be a part of that team along with Steph. Great memories, something I'll remember from my basketball career for the rest of my life, for sure.
And the circumstances of you with the Lakers and with the Warriors, like, do you think, could it ever happen again?
What?
You guys be teammates?
Oh, I have no idea.
All right. So that was LeBron. And the reason I'm looking intently at my computer is because we have an update. Paul Feinbaum has just reported on SportsCenter, among other sources, that Bill Belichick is finalizing the deal to become the head coach at North Carolina. Let's see what Zach Burke thinks about this. Zach, you got the little wry smile on over there. What say you about this?
I think that I'm interested to see how it works out, because this is a guy who is very much NFL and doesn't seem like, the coaches that you follow, that it's like, I don't know how this is going to transition to the college game. And Bill Belichick's game is one that just from the surface makes me think that way. But if he has this laundry list of things that he asked them to be okay with and they're okay with it, then I don't know, maybe he has a plan in place. Granted, I'm still very interested to see how it transitions fully into like a North Carolina in that college, that college game, because making a team a feeder for an NFL team, like I get that. That makes sense. And yeah, maybe the game as a whole is a little bit more like the NFL than it used to be, but I still think it's a completely different animal from college football compared to the NFL, of like just the way, like they're student athletes. So just everything about the whole thing, I think it's just a little bit of a different beast. And so I am very interested to see if, with it going through, of how he will work. It makes me think of like when Saban made the jump to the NFL. Like, yeah, there was 1 year it was solid, but halfway through the next year, he was gone. Like, he just wasn't built for the NFL.
And he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, and again, this will be a little different, but he wasn't allowing people, like sports writers weren't allowed to be at the facility for any amount of extra time,
which is
where they always were in the past.
Which seems like a very college head coach move. So I'm interested to see what's the opposite of that then. Like, what's Belichick going to do that's like an NFL coach move in this, college football type program that might ruffle some feathers on?
My instant reaction, I'm like upset. I really am. And because I just think that we lose as America, as fans of football. I think that he will get lost in the shuffle by, again, and I love the CW. Anytime I could do play-by-play for a game on the CW, if I don't have a conflict, I'll be there. Would love it. However, when you're talking about Bill Belichick and someone of that ilk, God, buried in week 6 against Wake Forest on the CW, that sucks for us as fans.
It does for us, but I think for him, he might like that. Like, I understand that he came out. He still, to me, doesn't feel like a guy that loves doing all the media and everyone.
No.
Like, I know he does. Like, he's doing it a lot more with the Manicast and all the draft.
Pat McAfee.
Exactly. Like, I know he's doing it more, but he still, to me, doesn't feel like fully comfortable. So maybe getting lost on that, 2:30, one of the 2:30 games randomly on the CW might be what he's want. He just wants to go out there and coach football.
That's a good point, Zach. That's a very good point. I blame this as we wrap up. I blame this on Pat McAfee. This is totally your fault, Pat McAfee. As fans, we will no longer have access to Bill Belichick on your show. We won't even be able to watch him on Inside the NFL on the CW. The only time we'll see him on the CW now is when North Carolina is playing Wake Forest at 11 a.m. Central Time next fall, week 7, which is all well and good. I love the ACC and I love football. I love calling games when I'm invited to do so. However, as a football fan, I want Bill Belichick in the big show. I wanted Bill Belichick coaching either the Cowboys or the New York Giants, not going to North Carolina where his services will be wasted. And after 3 years, we're all going to wake up and realize this didn't work. And guess what happens in 3 years? Bill Belichick is 75. So that's it. So if this is going to be your last act, one, I'm sure Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. 2, congratulations, you're back in coaching, Bill Belichick, and you've got so much now on your plate with the college football program that, like, at times even you, Yoda, may feel overwhelmed with what is going on within your college football program. There's going to be stuff you don't know about that could actually come around to get you in trouble. Keep that in mind too. As a fan, I think Bill Belichick can handle all that. For all I know, he's going to be in the college football playoff next year and win a championship. And if that's the case, I'm on board. My biggest fear is that we lose Bill Belichick to a sea of other football news and college football drama and all the fun stuff that we get caught up in game day, as opposed to every Sunday, Bill Belichick stalking the sidelines in front of millions upon millions of people. And doing that for the Cowboys or the Giants would have given me as much Bill Belichick as I wanted. And I always want more because the guy is an absolute legend. That'll do it for today's show. I'm not just pissed because I said he wasn't going to take the job or it wasn't going to happen. See how long it takes me to completely bungle a prediction? It took all of 25 minutes that time. I said he wasn't going to take the job or it wouldn't materialize, and here we are. So congratulations to North Carolina. You know what? Maybe tomorrow we'll try to have Scott Williams on, North Carolina basketball guy, just to see what Scott says about this move and how the North Carolina alumni is feeling about it, because I can guarantee that's another thing too. I don't mind North Carolina. I certainly like North Carolina more than Duke. They're going to be pounding their chest about this one. This is like a big victory for North Carolina. So buckle up and get ready for that one if you're a Duke fan or if you don't like North Carolina. If you like me, we'll be back again tomorrow. Regular time, 1 o'clock. Thank you for hanging with us on the special start time today, 3:30, because we got bumped because of a couple obligations. But yeah, Zach, way to go. Slovacic's. Please stop at Slovacic's off of I-35. I might have to stop there just to cool off because I can't believe that Belichick took this job. And if this girl is behind this, I'm going to be pissed. That's it. That's all. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Souza Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to turn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
But look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.